Well, good afternoon. We are committed to bringing you this video. Chris is with me today, helping me film this. We were set up by the lake. It was going to go off at 3 o'clock. Gorgeous, beautiful, birds chirping. And at 2:59, the clouds opened and we got absolutely drenched. So all this equipment had to be picked up and shuttled away. So now here we are, half an hour later. We've dried off and redressed and committed to bring you this information. So it's just been a comedy of errors this morning. And if ever there was some script on my head, it is long since gone. So we're talking really off the cuff. Really fun topic. I want to talk about CBD oil, and some people don't even know what that stands for. CBD is a cannabinoid oil. Cannabinoid coming from the hemp plant. Aha, hemp. Marijuana, the brain starts going that direction. We're going to clarify that because there's a lot of confusion there. Very, very interesting topic though. And Chelsea's not here today. You might have noticed I'm all alone. She's on vacation. She'll be back with us next week. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this solo. I want to create more dynamic, more conversation. So please, if you have questions, I'm going to slow down, which I don't do very often, and hopefully leave time for questions. All right. So this should be a little more casual. So let me kind of frame this a little bit. When we talk about cannabinoid oil, we're going to back up. Your body has an endocannabinoid system, okay? And that means within us, what's interesting about this endocannabinoid system, it was just discovered a little more than 20 years ago in the early 1990s. So this system within our body went completely undetected for decades of medical research. Really kind of curious. In the 1990s, it got discovered, and now since then, there's been thousands of articles researching it. So yes, we actually make our own endogenous cannabinoids, and there are about 13 different ones that we make, 2 of great significance. And I'm not going to bore you with the scientific names. Maybe I will, anandamide and 2-AG. So we make these compounds, and they have a huge impact on our brain and on our immune system. And as you know, if you've followed me at all, your immune system is housed in the gut. So the brain, the gut, and the immune system hugely impacted by this cannabinoid system that we've only known about for a little over 20 years. The impact that it can have, very broad when we talk about anything related to the brain. So whether you're talking about headaches or anxiety or cognition or even neuroprotection, this system is really important for us. It's closely married to the kind of adrenal stress system. It's kind of a partner or a cousin to our stress response system. It keeps our stress response system cooler and groovier than it would be without it. So if we're under high stress for long periods of time, our endocannabinoid system can maybe not work so well. Okay, we can become more anxious, we become cognitively challenged, or our mental focus goes, or we can begin to have gut issues. Sound familiar? So that's where CBD oil comes in. I want to share with you a distinction between CBD oil, which comes from plants, and notice how much of our life comes from plants. We talk about probiotics. Probiotics come from the soil, and they are part of nature, and they get inside of us, and they have a very complementary effect. Talk about plants and herbs being the source of most of the nutrients in our body. Very important for our functioning. So it's not unusual that a plant like the sativa plant would have some benefit to our physiology. I want to show you a graphic right now. I want to show you a picture of 2 different plants because these are both coming, both of these plants, the tall one that you see on the back and the left, that's hemp. And to the front down in the right corner, that's marijuana. They come from the same genus or from the same plant family, but they're very different plants, very, very different plants. So in cultures all around the world, they grow hemp because hemp is used for its fibers to make rope and to make clothing and do all kinds of things. And notice how it has that nice long stalk. And you look at marijuana, and it tends to be a bushier plant, and people that grow that are more interested in the flowering buds because that's where they get THC. Now THC is the component that you get when you smoke marijuana, okay? And of course, none of us are familiar with what that's all about, but that's where it comes from. Hemp, we're actually pulling the oil from the stalk and from the seeds, and there's relatively 0 THC there. So very different plants. When we take cannabinoid oil from the stalk of the hemp plant, It only qualifies as hemp and can only be imported in this country if it has less than 0.3% THC. So we don't have to worry about any negative psychotropic effects or hallucinogenic effects or mind-altering effects. That's not what it does. But when CBD oil enters your body, when you take it either as an oil under your tongue or as a capsule, very cool stuff. It doesn't hit your cannabinoid receptors because you have, remember, our endocannabinoid system, we have receptors for endocannabinoids, but it actually modulates your own endogenous production of these natural endocannabinoids or anandamide. All right? So for a system that's been stressed or not working well, it can be a way of nurturing that ill endocannabinoid system back to health. Very cool. There's other plants that have endocannabinoids that you're already eating right now. All right? If you ever have eaten cruciferous vegetables or broccoli, diindolylmethane from those vegetables are a phytocannabinoid. So they have effects similar to CBD. Echinacea as a plant, you may have taken for flu or virus, has some endocannabinoid effect. Curcumin and ginseng, black pepper or clove or hops. These are all plants and herbs that you've probably consumed or are consuming that have phytocannabinoid effects because there's more than 100 different phytocannabinoids. So very interesting how throughout nature these compounds exist to help our nervous system, to help our brain function. So natural question that comes to mind is, all right, well then, do I need CBD oil? Why would I take it? Who would benefit? And I think at the top of that list, there's a couple of very curious things that CBD oil does for us. Again, there are CBD1 receptors in the brain. So anything related to the brain can benefit. If you're somebody with anxiety or mood swings or depression, CBD oil can help make your brain more stable in terms of your mood. If you have migraine headaches, that's a slam dunk. People with migraine headaches tend to have low anandamide levels. They have low cannabinoid levels. Okay. Now there's other things that contribute to why you have migraine headaches, vascular spasm and hormones and all kinds of things. But CBD oil has a good history in the literature of helping people with migraine headaches reduce the frequency and intensity of their headaches. So notice all this is related to the brain and how the brain functions. Memory, cognition, definitely benefited by CBD. So people that have ADD or ADHD or focus issues or concentration issues can be a huge benefit. One of the really great uses of CBD oil is people with seizure disorder, because CBD has been shown to reduce the frequency and intensity of seizures. And if you're somebody with intractable seizures, it's a great addition. I'm not saying you get rid of your seizure meds, but taking this could help you potentially reduce the dose of your seizure meds or just reduce the frequency of seizures. So a lot of very cool, very good effects on the brain, and not the least of which is sleep. People that use CBD tend to have a deeper, richer, more consistent sleep pattern. The other area that affects is our gut, our immune system. So we know that gut motility can benefit from this. It does decrease nausea and vomiting. So having it on hand for if you get a stomach flu or an upset stomach, it can decrease nausea and vomiting, can be very helpful. Studies show that with probiotics, when you put good probiotics into a troubled gut, that oftentimes the CBD, the amount of CBD2 receptors, we see them increase in scientific studies. It's just showing us that good probiotics are enhancing our endocannabinoid system in our gut. And then a couple of other just left of center uses for this. It does help with bone formation. So it's good for musculoskeletal issues, and where it really knocks it out of the park is pain patterns. When we first started using this in our office, the biggest indication for us to prescribe this was for people with joint pain, chronic backache, chronic arthritic pain in the knees or hips or shoulders. And once again, it hit it out of the park. We consistently saw that it reduced the overall level of discomfort. It's got an interesting mechanism there. So you've got these neurons that are communicating and firing pain signals back to the central nervous system. And the CBD, or the cannabinoid system, sends retrograde signals in the opposite direction to mute or dull those pain signals. Really kind of cool. So it just turns the volume down on pain signaling. Doesn't have any adverse effect. It doesn't create lightheadedness, dizziness, drowsiness, any of those kinds of things. So it's just one of those really cool elements that we're seeing come into the literature and is coming into the public eye, and more people are asking me about CBD oil. And I'm just going to peek down. I'm not ignoring you. I just want to see if we've gotten Any questions? And Chris, I don't see anything. I don't know if I'm even connected here, so I'll let you tell me if anything comes across. So those are some of the indications and use of CBD oil. The questions that always come up, I'm going to anticipate your question. Is it legal? Yes. Hemp oil is legal in all 50 states. There's a lot of turmoil right now in our government looking at some states can grow marijuana, some states can sell marijuana, not all states can. This has nothing to do with that. This is hemp oil, and hemp oil is legal in all 50 states. I'm a truck driver and I have to take a drug test, or I'm a school teacher, or anybody would have to take a drug test. Will it trick my drug test to trip positive? No, because remember, in hemp oil, THC is the compound that's problematic that will trigger that test as a positive, and to even be allowed in the country has to be less than 0.3%, which is infinitesimally small. You would have to drink gallons of this stuff in a day to trigger a positive test. So no, we don't worry about it triggering a positive test. Other things that impact your endocannabinoid system. Let's say you're somebody that says, I don't know if I want to do CBD oil, but I want to help my endocannabinoid system. Exercise has been shown to be beneficial. Coffee can actually be beneficial. That doesn't give you license to have 4 venti Starbucks a day, but coffee can be helpful for that system. Interestingly, any manipulation of the body, whether it's massage therapy or myofascial work like Rosti type treatments, acupuncture, all of these interventions seem to also be very endocannabinoid system friendly or helpful. So we can, just through exercise, through massage therapy, myofascial treatments, we can enhance our endocannabinoid system. Again, if we get good sleep and we don't stress out, that helps the system also. So anyhow, I thought this was a very interesting topic. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And if we have any questions, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, I'm Chris Carson. Nice to join you. We have a question from Roger. He asks, does it help with migraines?
Yes. Big Y, big E, big S, yes. So it's interesting, with migraine headaches, studies have shown that they have a reduced amount of anandamide. This is your natural endogenous cannabinoid that you make, your body makes it. People with migraine headaches tend to have a reduced amount of this. Anandamide hits CB1 receptors in your brain, and it absolutely has been shown to modulate and improve migraine headaches. What do I mean by modulate and improve? Reduces the intensity and reduces the frequency. So absolutely, and not only for migraine headaches, but even for tension headaches. So it has a great impact on all pain patterns, but in particular, headaches and migraines. So great question, and absolutely. A question that often comes up then, okay, well, how much should I take? You'll see all kinds on the market. And let me be clear, we use 2. We have one that's a drop under the tongue. We like that because you can dose it. You can use it in kids. It is kid friendly, it's kid safe. So you can use it in kids that have trouble sleeping, kids with anxiety, kids with irritability, autism, that kind of thing, kids with seizure disorder. So there's a sublingual that works very well. And then there's a capsule we get from Thorne. I really recommend that one because it's eco-friendly, farmed, it's organic. There's nothing in it other than CBD oil and the phytocannabinoids. There's another class, a subclass of phytocannabinoids, the beta-caryophyllins, and it has those as well. So it's a balanced formulation. And I don't worry about my patients testing positive for THC when they take that product. There are other brands out there that aren't as clean, aren't as refined, and so I can't vouch for every CBD oil on the market. So just a word to the wise, work with a good company, work with a good brand. Okay? Yeah.
Another question from Colleen. She is curious about CBD and how it helps with anxiety and depression, and
okay.
Contrary to some psych drugs.
Great question, Colleen, because CBD oil, if I come into the equation on no meds and I have anxiety and depression, it absolutely helps to balance that, decreases anxiety, can help. And for some people, when I look at anybody with anxiety, depression, mood swings, it's an inflammation of your brain. The impact of the CB1 receptor in the brain is to reduce inflammation. It actually is impacting astrocytes and glial cells in your brain. And you may not know what those are, but they make up the majority of your brain, okay? They are bathing the neurons, and they're altering the status of the neurons. Are neurons irritated, or are they calm and groovy? What's your glutamate level? The endocannabinoids are able to quiet the astrocytes, and they're able to reduce the inflammation in your brain. So they're an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant effect on your brain. So if I had mood disorder, depression, anxiety, and I just took the endocannabinoids, it would help. It would reduce or even eliminate that problem. Let's say I come to the table and I'm already on Zoloft, or I'm on some medication for anxiety. I'm on a benzodiazepine perhaps, and I want to add the CBD. You can do that, but you'd want to do that under the care of a physician that understands how these things work, because what they can do is they can make your medications work better, and sometimes it can cause an artificial kind of elevation in the dose. Okay, you're taking the same dose, but you're not getting rid of it as quickly. And that's a good thing, because that means now we can begin to reduce your dose. So I would use cannabinoids to try to reduce somebody's dosage or need for pharmaceutical medication. Okay, great question though. If you're going to do that though, again, work with a clinician that's savvy about how these things interact. Go ahead, Chris, you had another question?
Yeah, totally. So what about lactose intolerance?
Lactose intolerance is bad. We all have it. It's funny, we don't make the enzyme lactase to break down lactose. Some people suffer from it more than others. We know that it can have an impact on the gut, and so it can increase motility, which is a good thing. It can decrease pain patterns. I've not read specific studies where it was used for lactose intolerance. Theoretically, based on its mechanism of action, it would help. And if you have lactose intolerance, there's probably another conversation we need to have. Like, let's get you off there, let's get some good probiotics, and that would typically resolve that. But yeah, it'd be worth a trial with CBD oil to see if it doesn't mitigate or limit some of the symptoms you're having.
So another one, Marilyn is curious about energy levels. Could it help there?
Marilyn wants to know about energy. Gee, nobody has trouble with energy, Marilyn. You must be all alone. No, of course, that's one of the biggest concerns we have, people coming in just saying, I'm tired. By a couple of different mechanisms, it can help with energy, because first of all, people that take CBD oil tend to sleep better. Their brain tends to be more calm. They tend to be less anxious. And when we're sleeping better and less anxious, we do tend to make better decisions. We tend to make better food decisions. So I would say by an indirect effect, it's not an energy element, but because it helps the nervous system to be more calm, it helps kind of balance that stress response system. You may notice that you sleep better, and by virtue of that, you may notice an improvement in energy. But I wouldn't use it just for energy. I would begin to look at how is your sleep pattern overall, what is your stress, is your gut a mess? Those are the kind of things that really can drain energy. But this might be an adjunct to a good treatment plan.
Another one, this is a big one, right? What about children? What's a safe age for them to start using?
It is safe for children. Again, I'm going to go back to the fact that this is your endocannabinoid system. This is natural. This is within you. And you're already feeding your kids endocannabinoids. You're feeding them broccoli, I hope, right? You're feeding them vegetables, I hope. And in those vegetables, and in those cruciferous vegetables in particular, they have endogenous cannabinoids. So this is not a foreign chemical so much as it's a plant-based element that's very natural to our bodies. It is safe for kids. I would start at lower doses, and I would say for kid use, if I have a kid with seizure disorder, that could be a really big helper, okay? And that's the more dramatic. But even kids that are just struggling with anxiety or sleep disorder, kids that have agitated mindset or mood because of autism or other things like ADD, that these things can help decrease anxiety and make a child more calm. I would use the drops, and I would start with a low dose, and I would just titrate up until they felt better. By dose, 2-3 milligrams, go up to 5, go up to 7, go up to 10, and somewhere in that ballpark, you should see a good response, I would hope. But yes, it's very safe for kids.
Another question from Steph. She asked, will this help with a child who has issues falling or staying asleep?
Steph asked, would it help with children staying and falling asleep? Yeah, I believe that it would. A couple of things. I always look at anything like CBD oil or any of these supplements I recommend as part of a bigger picture. We got to ask, well, why is the sleep bad to begin with? Are there gut issues? What's your child doing that 2 hours before bed? Are they on video games stimulating their brain? Are they on an iPad with blue light shooting in their face? there's always a more comprehensive picture to why a kid isn't falling asleep or staying asleep. So I would say CBD oil could be a part of that solution. I think we have a melatonin spray that's just 0.5 milligrams. It's a natural element. It's an antioxidant. It works great with kids. And I think that and or CBD by itself could be a great adjunct. But look at what else might be going on to stimulate that brain at nighttime, okay, in particular electronics. I think you might find that works with, I always want to avoid presenting the idea that this magic stuff, you just spray it and everything's better. It can help, but we've got to look at the totality of the lifestyle, okay? Anything else?
Definitely. So Steph has a follow-up to that.
Yeah.
Could children become dependent on this, or anybody else?
No, it's not an addictive compound. And again, it's something we pretty much get in one form or another throughout our lifetime. The ideology, the goal here, Steph, for example, if we were to talk about your child and the problems you're having at sleep, let's uncover why the problem exists and get rid of the problem, right? Then you don't need CBD oil. So it's not addictive. Neither is melatonin. Melatonin's not addictive, not harmful. But I'm always going to look for the root cause. I always want to figure out what the issue is. Maybe it's a change in diet. Maybe it's a gut issue. Maybe, like I say, it's some of the electronic things. But let's fix that and make it so that nobody needs to be on anything their entire life. But no, I wouldn't worry about any addictive potential. Yes. This is great, guys. All these questions. This is awesome. Yeah.
What about fighting cancer? Does it help in any way with that, or reduce your risk of getting cancer?
It's an interesting question. I was just reading a couple days ago, I found an article, and it was looking at brain cancers and suggesting that this might have a role to play. Remember, it's an antioxidant. We know it can be beneficial in Parkinson's. It can be protective of the brain. It can be neuroregenerative. So it has tremendous impact on the brain. And there was some study looking at it as a treatment for brain cancer. Now again, not a treatment all by itself, but as something that could be adjunctive and helpful, and maybe even something that helps avoid brain cancers, right? If the brain is healthier, then it's not as likely to get sick. You look at any cancer. If I smoke, I might get lung cancer. And you go, well, the cigarettes are bad. But why are they bad? Because I'm inhaling chemicals that make oxidative stress in my lungs, okay? If I eat bad foods and I put them in my gut over and over and over again, they create oxidative stress in my gut and I might get colon cancer. Any cancer, if I just rub my skin like this every day for an hour, I'm more likely to get skin cancer. Any chronic inflammatory state increases the odds of DNA abnormalities and the potential for cancer. So when we look at CBD and we say, hey, it's an antioxidant, it's an anti-inflammatory, it quiets the glial cells, the microglial cells and the astrocytes, and these are immune cells in our brain. It helps them to be more calm. Naturally, that's going to interpret or translate into a lower risk for cancer. So yeah, I think that could be helpful there. Again, get good sleep, get good food, get your stress under control. That reduces cancer better than most things. Eat real food. So yeah.
All right, CBD oils. What is a good one to take? What are ones to watch out for?
So there's a lot of CBD oils in the marketplace, and if you know anything about our office or our practice, we have a very holistic approach, and we are strong believers in quality herbals and nutrients and homeopathics and all kinds of elements to help move your body in a healthier direction. Now, having said that, not all supplements are created equal. There are a group of supplements that are pharmaceutical grade. For example, Thorne Research is a company I really like to work with because everything they make is pharmaceutical grade. In the United States, we don't have pharmaceutical approval of supplements. It's a totally separate division. In Australia, they do. All the supplements in Australia are under their FDA clearinghouse. And so they have to be approved as pharmaceutical grade. All of Thorne's supplements pass the Australian guidelines for being pharmaceutical grade. Thorne Research's material, it's the only supplement available in the United States that our U.S. Olympic Committee approves of because they've tested all the products for purity and they're clean. There's exactly in them what they say they have in them. Not all manufacturers meet that stringent criteria. So it happens all the time that somebody brings something into me and says, is this glucosamine good, or is this vitamin good, or is this good? you have to look at the company, you have to understand who the company is and what their process is for making that nutrient. I tell you that because I can't sit here and say all CBD brands are great. I can't even sit here and say they're all free of THC because they're not monitored, they're not under FDA regulation, okay? So I only work with companies that I know and that I have personally vetted, companies that can show me documentation that their products are pure. So we work with two in our office. Thorne Research has a capsule. I like it because it's balanced. It has the beta-caryophyllins and the endocannabinoids, which these are balanced cannabinoids, okay? So I like that product for that reason. And it's Thorne, and it's organic, and it's eco-friendly farmed, and. This product has been vetted. I trust it. I don't trust every CBD oil out there. We have an oil also under the tongue, and it's just CBD oil. But again, we've checked the company out. They're clean. They make a good product. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I can't vouch for everything in the marketplace. I can only vouch for the stuff that we have done the research on, okay? And that's as good as I can tell you right now. All right. We have any other questions?
All right, last one. Alzheimer's. Could it help there?
Could CBD oil help in Alzheimer's? Yes.
Or even help slow it down?
That's a big ask, right? Trying to slow down Alzheimer's. There are things that do work to slow down Alzheimer's. From a medication perspective, we don't have good drugs for slowing Alzheimer's. We just don't. There's just not a lot of good drug intervention there. There are some things, some peptides, injectable peptides that show some very good promise. We're starting to use more of that. You have to look at Alzheimer's like you look at any disease in the body. It's an inflammatory process. What is pissing off the brain, right? What's creating that inflammation? Has it been years of sugar and wheat? Has it been years of poor sleep? Has it been years of plastics and chemicals that are causing inflammation in the brain? From a reducing risk standpoint, based on physiology alone, not based on research that I've read, but just on the way cannabinoids work and the cannabinoid system works, since it does lower oxidative stress and it lowers inflammation, theoretically, I would bet for CBD oil reducing risk, but I haven't seen any clinical studies, okay? For somebody who actively has Alzheimer's and you're trying to put the brakes on it and halt it, could that be something worth trying? I absolutely feel it's worth trying. Give it a 3-month or a 6-month trial and just subjectively observe. Do I feel like it's having an impact? Am I seeing a difference in my mother, aunt, whoever it might be? Just subjectively, you know them better than anybody else. You're going to know if there's been a difference or not. But there are some therapies that can make a good impact. I think the problem with a lot of Alzheimer's patients, we just look at it as some weird disease in the brain, and that's where it is, and there's nothing we can do. And that's not real. That's not real. Anything inflammatory going on there, we don't look at the gut of an Alzheimer's patient and say, well, let's clean up the gut, or there's so many different influences on Alzheimer's that we can make impact, but we have to look through a broader lens and not just say, oh, it's some weird thing that's going on in the brain. The brain doesn't live on an island. It's connected to the immune system. There's more immune cells in your brain than there are brain cells. So the immune system and our gut are directly connected, and any immune inflammation, you can have something as simple as bad gingival health. If you've got bad gums and there's bacteria living there, that's an inflammatory source. It's going to spike inflammatory chemicals. Can that be a driver for Alzheimer's? Yes. Can you have heavy metals because you drank from aluminum cans your whole life and you have mercury fillings? Yes. And that's where, when we go to make inroads on Alzheimer's, it's looking at all those different potential toxins and inflammatory sources and beginning to enumerate them and kind of check them off the list, so to speak. Okay, so big topic. So anyways, hey guys, awesome, great questions, fantastic, good insight, really intelligent questions. This was fun. We got rained on. It stressed us a little bit, but you know, I'm taking my CBD oil, so I'm still cool and groovy. I didn't get bent out of shape. Chris didn't bat an eye. He's like, all right. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday. If you have a request for a topic you'd like us to discuss, hey man, we're happy to go over anything that interests you. Thanks again so much. Hello to Chelsea. Enjoy your vacation. I'll see you in a week. And to the rest of you, hopefully I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.